Namaste. Today on Touch of Light, I'd like to share with you a little story that I call the treasure box. Some years ago, my husband Jyotish came up to me holding a little cardboard box, and he said, "This is all we have left after the fire." And I knew what he was in the box, and I knew what he was talking about, because on that day, we've mentioned this before, but a forest fire came and destroyed the Ananda community. On that day, I was leaving the home to take our child for a checkup, and I looked around and I cleaned the house before I left, but I didn't have time to clean our meditation room, and there were many sacred things in there, and I thought, oh, I don't like leaving them in a dusty room. So I took all the treasures off the altar, uh, some hair from our Guru Yogananda Ji that was in a little silver box, a mala that had been blessed by Ananda Ma, different things that were sacred to us, and pictures of our gurus. And I put them all in this little box. And I placed that box by the door of the meditation room because I thought when I come back, I'll clean the room and I'll put them all back. Well, I was away when the fire struck, but Jyotish came, and all he had time to rescue from the house was that box from the meditation room. And this is what he presented to me. And that little box, we traveled in those days after the fire. We lived in a series of temporary houses until we could rebuild. But that little box was our treasure box. And that went with us from place to place to place. And we still have those things many years later. And someday all of those things will go back to the astral world from which they came. But what that box gave me was the security to know that the only treasure we have in this world is God's presence and His blessings in our life. Once someone asked Paramhansa Yogananda, kind of a supercilious person, said, "What are the assets of your organization?" And he said, "None, only God." And then he went on to say, when God gives less, is because He wants to give the gift of Himself. So in our daily life, let's remember this. Let's not get too caught up on if we have this thing or that thing. It all can be gone in a moment. But our real treasure box is our love for God and His blessings in our life.